We are $31 trillion in debt, almost 32. We are having to borrow money just to make our interest payments. China owns 12% of our debt. Now, it would be easy for me to just beat up on Biden for that. But I have always spoken hard truths, and I'm going to do that with you today. Our Republicans did that to us, too. You go and look at that $2.2 trillion COVID stimulus bill that they passed with no accountability whatsoever. They expanded welfare that now leaves us with 90 million Americans on Medicaid, 42 million Americans on food stamps. Did the Republicans try and fix it? Nope. They doubled down and opened up earmarks for the first time in 10 years. They pushed through 7,000 of them in December. Want to know how they spent your money? $7.5 million on horse racing in Arizona, $30 million on an honors college in Vermont, $10 million on a courthouse in Colorado. That's not how we want our taxpayer money spent. All while 1 in 6 Americans can't pay their utility bill. 60% of Americans are in credit card debt. Social Security is going to go bankrupt in 10 years. Medicare is going to go bankrupt in 5. So when you hear them talk about this debt ceiling, understand both those parties did that to us. Every member of Congress did that to us. And we can't let that happen again. How do we fix it? When it comes to the economy, we pull back the $500 billion of unspent COVID money that's still out there. Instead of the 87,000 IRS agents going after middle America, let's go after the hundreds of billions of dollars of COVID fraud that we know exist. If 15% of our budget is interest, quit borrowing, cut up the credit cards. Don't ever let them tell you Republicans and Democrats don't get along on anything, because they love to spend your money. I had to balance a budget when I was governor. You have to balance budgets in your businesses. Why is Congress the only group that doesn't have to balance a budget? Let's stop the spending, stop the borrowing, stop the earmarks. When we start to focus on that, we can start focusing on paying down the debt and taking care of our spending. I will veto any spending bill that doesn't take us back to pre-COVID levels.
But my concern is that Social Security is not going to be there, probably not even for my generation or even the generations that come up. And I would like to know what your plan would be as president to ensure the stability of Social Security, not only for us, but also for the generations that will be coming. Thank you.
Thank you. No, and I'll tell you another hard truth. We have to deal with entitlement reform. Anybody that says we don't is not dealing with the fact that we're going to go bankrupt in 10 years on Social Security and 5 years on Medicare. But I don't think we have to touch anyone that is paid into the system. I don't think we touch anyone that's getting benefits now. You know, my parents, I take care of them. I don't want anybody touching theirs. The way we fix this is my kids are in their 20s. They're the ones we go to and we say, we're going to raise the retirement age for you to reflect life expectancy. Instead of cost of living increases, we're going to do increases based on inflation. We'll limit benefits on the wealthy, and we'll expand Medicare Advantage plans so that people have more choices. That's the way we'll deal with it. That's how you'll make sure that we have Social Security and Medicare for you, but we're also focusing on how we can keep Social Security and Medicare for those who have paid in and others in the future. It's the only way we can deal with it, is to acknowledge it and start treating it. But we start with that younger generation.
Ambassador, you proposed at one time any candidate over the age of 75 should be given a cognitive test. Can you explain why you're proposing that?
First, I said that we have to have term limits in our country. I've been a long proponent for term limits. But the second thing is I said we need to have mental competency tests for people over the age of 75 that are serving us in D.C. And, you know, Joe Biden got offended that I said that. I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. I don't care if you do it for 50 and up. I'm saying that if you look at those serving in D.C. right now, first of all, look at them. That kind of says enough. Secondly, these are people making serious decisions. They're deciding things on our national security. They're deciding things on our future economic policy. They're deciding things on our welfare. Don't we want them to be at the top of their game? When I was at the United Nations, we got intel on the health and welfare of other leaders around the world. I know that Russia and China see what's going on. I know our enemies know the state of it. I don't want them taking advantage of it. And I think that the American people deserve better.